I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camp's RC. All right guys, welcome back from that flight test. This little guy is a screamer. This is 26 inches from wingtip to wingtip right here. It's about 670 millimeters. And this little Tomahawk from Durafly at Hobby King's website, and there's a link down below for this one. This little guy's running 4S 1000 milliamp in here. So if you want a 4S FPV wing that's fairly compact and easy for transport, this thing is awesome. It's under the 36-inch mark, which is normally what I see for FPV wings lately, and I've flown a ton of wings on the channel, but this one was extra special mainly because all I had to do was put in my receiver and set up my control surfaces, and I was pretty much ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and put this one on the bench. I'll show it to you a little bit closer up. I'll show you the options that are available for this wing, and we'll talk about some pros and cons for this wing, and I'll give you an honest review on Hobby King's new Durafly Tomohawk. This thing is actually pretty sweet. So let's go ahead now and put it on the bench and take a little closer look at this guy, and I'll tell you how well it fared during my flight test. Now let's just go ahead and get started with this review. You guys are gonna like this one a lot. This was really easy to set up and get flying. I've already set up a lot of other wings, and I'm always cautious when I see a new wing come in that's under 36 inches. If it's around 20 to 26 inches like this one is, it makes me a little bit cautious because some of these wings are almost impossible to FPV because they're so small and so twitchy. You really have to put a lot of exponential into your radio to dumb down the control surfaces so that you can get a nice smooth flying wing, because you're not flying a flight controller on this wing. It doesn't have GPS return to home or any of that stuff, or auto stabilize. This is purely manual FPV wing flying. So if you're looking for kind of a cool little FPV race style wing, this is neat. I wish some of my other friends had these. If we had like 5 of these racing out in the field, this would be a lot of fun. You can keep it in actually a pretty small space and do some pretty tight circuits with it. Now what I really liked about it was the fact that it ran very similar components to what we have on our race quads. I just took a 5-inch prop that I had in my prop box after I broke the first one, of course, and added it on this multi-star motor. So the multi-star motor that comes with this is a standard size motor in the industry for FPV racers. 2205 is on a lot of quads out there. So if I burn this motor up, I can just go in my box over there and grab a new 2205 and put it on there. And it's only running a 20 amp ESC, and that's totally fine for 4S. Even though you're running it on a wing, it's going to give a pretty high amp draw, but this ESC held up and didn't get super hot during my flight test, which I like a lot. Now they also do give you two options, like I was saying before. They give you that flat style canopy here that just pops off just like this, and you can put whatever type of sport cam you want on here. I have a Foxeer Legend 3, and this one actually does pretty well. I'll try to put a link below, but you can add a little bit of Velcro here on the top of the foam where the flat spot is, and they already have this strap. Your camera strap is already on there when you get the aircraft, so that's kind of nice. They have some venting here for keeping all of your electronics, and your ESC rides back here, so you want to have a lot of airflow going through there, through the wing. And you also have an airflow intake right here for keeping the motor cool while you're running it. I didn't have any overheating issues, which was super nice because it was actually fairly mild yesterday, but it was about 70 degrees when I was flying it. Now also, this is following the vertical stabilizer trend that I see in a lot of these wings, which is really, really nice. We just need to keep adding vertical stabilizers on wings because it really does help it track a lot better than not having these on the aircraft. So Durafly was smart. Hobby King, thumbs up for that. That's a really nice thing to have on here. And also, if you notice, it's very subtle on the outside edge. We have a kicked up winglet on the outside out there, and those are already on there. You don't have to glue them on or anything. One thing I will suggest that you guys do when you get your wing, make sure that you put a little bit of extra CA on right here, because during my first flight test, I was cruising around at 3/4 throttle, and I did a really tight turn, put some elevator in it, and I came up, and when I did, that back servo arm on this side popped off, and instead of going up, I went straight into the ground because I didn't have enough pull here, and I winged over because this control surface right here stayed right here. That was a problem. So be sure to check these, because these horns right here, these control horns, don't go all the way through the wing, and that usually is not something you do on a wing type setup. You want to have one that bolts all the way through. So if you can replace those, that would probably be a good idea. And definitely put some extra CA on top of those to secure those in when you're going to fly for the first time. So like I said in the box, they do give you two different style canopies, and this one has a rounded front end on it. If you're not going to use any type of GoPro or sport cam on it, you can just use this one, no big deal. But I felt like with the Foxeer Legend 3 on here, this is a little heavier than the Runcam 2. I would probably suggest something like the Runcam 2 for this particular aircraft because it's a lot lighter, or something like a Mobius would be better. A GoPro is going to be a little bit heavy, and you're going to feel that weight when you're flying some type of sport cam on the front. But I was able to get it off the ground and fly it with that. But if you can just record in your DVR and you're okay with that, just go with the DVR footage. But you're going to get some pretty spectacular video footage if you do put a sport cam on there. So it's nice that they do give you that flat canopy option. And if you're going to mount an FPV cam on this plane, make sure you mount it right up front, but just recess it just a little bit for when you go in for a crash. That might help you save your camera in a crash, and it actually saved mine because I did go in nose first twice. And my biggest fear of this entire plane was this plastic nose cone right here. I thought this whole thing was going to come separated from the Tomahawk. I just thought the whole thing was going to be broken and smashed into pieces. And I knew that once I smashed this canopy in the front up, that it was never going to look the same, and I might even have to try to get another one off the Hobby King website. But luckily, in 2 lawn darts, it didn't crack, which was absolutely amazing, because look at this in the front here. There's a tiny little bit of a mark right here, but none of these surfaces right here and here cracked. And I was really thinking that right here was just going to totally crack and fail. You could actually add a little bit of CA along the side here just to get it to strengthen up and be a little bit more rigid for your crashes. Some foam safe CA, of course, would make this a little bit stronger. But if you look inside, right where the battery bay is, they do have it reinforced right here with a piece of plastic on both sides. So it's just going to give your battery a little more rigidity in there for your side impact. If you hit anything from the side, just protect your battery a little bit. And also you notice that right here, this piece of foam right here actually did crack, and this stuff is super easy to repair. If you're new to the hobby, just get yourself some foam safe glue and you can really repair stuff, and it'll be stronger than it was when you started out. It's actually kind of amazing. You just get some spray activator and spray that on there, and it's done as soon as you spray on the activator. Now this little guy does go on there. It goes underneath the front part of this dome, and there's two little snaps right here that snap onto this rail, and then we have a magnet at the very back right here. So it's a pretty strong canopy. One con about this setup is the fact that I think once I get my battery in there, there's not a lot of room for the wires above here. So sometimes the wires were touching the top of the canopy, which really made me a little bit nervous, worrying that this canopy might fly off in flight and get eat up by the prop back there. But it held the whole time because the magnet that they include with it is actually pretty strong. Now, one of my friends came to the shop and he looked at this bay right here and looked at the surfaces on the wing, and the first thing he thought of was putting a flight controller in this and really jazzing it up with some auto level, some auto takeoff, and loiter, return to home, all that good stuff. You could probably do that with this model, but I don't really think there's a ton of room in here for a flight controller. If you wanted to mount one out here on the side of the wing, or maybe vertically mount a flight controller over here, you could probably do that, but you know, this is probably best kept as a manual flying aircraft. It's just really not something I would put a flight controller on. But hey, if you want to, you can do that. You can go crazy and you can add GPS and everything else on here. But I had a lot of fun just flying it manual out in the field. Do a little FPV with it. It's a lot of fun. Now, this plane didn't come with any FPV gear, so when you first get it, all of this is going to be empty up here. So you can also get a full-size camera in here, and I actually put a sort of a miniature, the Runcam Micro in here. It's actually the smaller nano version of the Micro, with no type of VTX on the back of that one, or no piggyback. So I added my own AKK VTX right here, and I'll try to put some links down below for some suggested type of cameras that'll fit this for you guys. And also, guys, on this wing we're running a pretty standard servo on here. If you needed to get new servos, or if you broke one of these in a crash, you can do that. And I'll try to put a link to servos down there as well on Hobby King's website. Now, one of the most important landing features of a lot of FPV wings is going to be the skids in the front and some type of sort of skid on the bottom out on the wings. And all you have to do is, when you get yours, there's only a few things to put on this plane, and one of them is these glass fiber skids that just go down into the wing slots right here. Add a little bit of CA down in that hole before you start. Cram it down in there, and then I just add a little bit on both sides just to reinforce it a little bit better, and then I hit it with some activator, and those took about 5 minutes maybe to put on there, and I was ready to go. So those add a little more sort of vertical type of stability in conjunction with this top vertical stabilizer, and just gives you a little more authority in your turns, which makes it nice, and something else to keep your wing off the grass when you come in to land, so, or off any kind of harder surface that you land on. And also, guys, I was pretty happy that this wing came with stickers. It came totally bare except for the Tomahawk stickers right in the center there. I put the Durafly one out on this side, and the orange stickers I chose out of the sticker pack that they give you. They give you a huge collection of stickers here, so you have all kinds of different colors here. We had black, orange, blue, red, green, and you have a totally almost a full set worth of numbers here. Look like kind of like pool balls, and I chose the 8-ball for my wing there, and I added one on the bottom too. So the spot right here was blank over on that side for you to add your own 8-ball on there if you want to. And the battery that I'm running on this plane is actually the 4S 1000 milliamp. I think you could probably cram a smaller 1300 in there, but you really don't want it to be too tall. That's because this canopy is going to hit a 1300. I think if you run any type of R-line, I think the R-line tattoo, which is a favorite out there, I think that's going to be a little bit too tall, but the 1000 milliamps fits in there perfect. And I was getting at least 5 minutes flight time without hearing any beeps coming from my onboard beeper. And honestly, there's a lot of really cool wings out there right now. And when I got the email from Hobby King about this new Tomahawk, I went and took a look at it, and I was like, absolutely, I would love to fly this one. Please send me this one. It just looks totally awesome from top to bottom. And I like the fact that it's really portable. It's bigger than a micro wing, something like a Park Zone type micro wing, or that old school Horizon Hobby wing. This one is EPO. It's also super durable. I only put a few cracks in it during my flight test, and as far as durability wise goes, that's going to be 5 out of 5 stars for durability, because I really expected this thing to be in pieces when me and my friend went to walk into the trees to find this thing. I only have a few dents. I have a dent here, I put a little CA there, and I have a dent over here, but really that's about it. This entire assembly in the front survived, and I'm kind of amazed at that. So I was expecting a total disaster, but if you add your receiver on there, make sure you have your antenna sticking out the bottom. That's going to help you with a little bit of range. But pretty cool that it runs almost the same components as an FPV Racer quad. 2205 motor is very standard, and it has a really nice bolt-on feature in the back there. So it's got a lock nut back there, and it doesn't have any type of bullet nut, which I really loathe the bullet nuts, as you guys know. So pretty cool wing. You should definitely check out the Tomahawk on Hobby King's website. If they're out of stock, wait for it to come back in stock and grab one of these, because I had a super ton of fun with this little Tomahawk, and I'm going to continue flying that this year, and all the rest of my FPV wings in the collection. So pretty cool. The batteries are fairly cheap on their website. 1000 milliamp 4S rock and roller right there. 26-inch wing. Is 26-inch the new 36-inch? Possibly so, when this one flies so well. So I gotta say thanks again to Hobby King for sending this one out for review. And as always, guys, if you see people that need help out there in the hobby, please do help others. That's kind of our slogan here on the Drone Camps channel. Pass it on to the next guy or kid who needs a little bit of help to foster their love of flight. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Please do subscribe on the channel, because we're gonna have more fun, cool stuff coming up this spring and summer right here on the channel, and some more giveaways as well. So who knows, maybe I'll give this one away. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.